Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and today I'm doing the Hercule Poirot book tag. This tag was created by the channel Alice in the Giant Bookshelf. That's a new channel, a new to me channel that I just discovered since joining BookTube, and I've really enjoyed her content. And she just recently did this to celebrate Agatha Christie's birthday, so I thought I would jump in and do the book tag as well because I have enjoyed some of Agatha Christie's books. I say some because I haven't read them all yet. There's only so much time in a day. But I've not read any of hers for a while, and some of the Christie content she was putting out just recently has inspired me to pick up another Agatha Christie again soon. So I'm going to resume reading some of her books. So this tag has 10 prompts, and I will be answering them to the best of my ability here. Let's go ahead and get going. So prompt number 1, Hercule Poirot is a detective who is extremely proud of his achievements. In The Mystery of the Blue Train, he announced, "My name is Hercule Poirot, and I am probably the greatest detective in the world." If not Poirot, who is your favorite detective? And what book do you recommend featuring your favorite? That's such a great question to start this off with. I enjoy Hercule Poirot quite a bit. I like him better than Sherlock Holmes, I think. I don't know. To me, Poirot just seemed more identifiable, but he's not my all-time favorite. That's such a hard question to answer, though, when you like mysteries. I'm going to probably cheat on some of these answers because I will have more than one answer. But for this, definitely my favorite fictional detective right now is Inspector Gamache from the Three Pines series. The series is by Louise Penny. This is the first in the series called Still Life. And I got it on a whim one of those days at the library. I just picked it up on a whim. And I kind of liked it. So I read book 2, which is called Fatal Grace, and just fell in love with Inspector Gamache and the entire Three Pines series. And I've read almost all of the books up to this point. There's the last couple of 2 I haven't gotten to yet, but it's a series I highly recommend for mystery lovers. It's such a good story, such a good series, and I absolutely love Inspector Gamache. Probably a close second is a series by Alan Bradley called the Flavia de Luce series, and this is tells the story of a 10 to 12-year-old girl who's a genius chemist. She's a bit demented, a little bit dark, I think is the better word. A bit of a dark personality, as she's always talking about poisons and different things, tormenting her sisters with chemistry. And she comes to find out she has a talent for solving mysteries as well. But on top of all this is such an emotional roller coaster of a journey through the book series. I've read all of them that have been published so far. Prompt 2 asks, Hercule Poirot famously uses his little gray cells to solve cases. Have you ever solved an Agatha Christie mystery? And if yes, which one? And if not, is there an author whose mysteries you have solved? And I gotta say, not at all. If I did ever solve a Christie mystery, it was probably by luck. I can't actually think of any mystery that I've ever gotten right. And I'm sure I have, but again, it's kind of like a lucky guess. I mean, the thing for me is I get so caught up in the story that I forget to try to think ahead. I just get caught up in the what's going to happen next. How is the detective going to solve this? And I'm terrible at guessing what's coming. For instance, the film The Sixth Sense, and I'm not going to spoil the ending for you in case you're one of the 3 people who haven't seen it. If not, go watch it. It's a great movie. But right up into the twist of the film, everyone around me like, oh, here's the twist. And I'm like, don't tell me. I haven't figured it out yet. And they were like, come on, can't you see what's going on? And I'm like, no. And then it wasn't until right at the end when it's explicitly stated what just happened, I'm like, oh, okay. I just get caught up in the storytelling that I'm just there for the journey. I'm there for the on the way. But I really like it when I can't figure out the whodunit. When it's a really clever twist, or there are some mysteries where you already know the killer ahead of time, like Columbo, or there are mysteries where it's pretty obvious who it is and all that, and that's fine. I don't mind. But for the most part, no, I can't answer them before the detective does. Prompt number 3 is: the mysterious affair at Styles is the introduction to Hercule Poirot. Recommend a first book in a series where you met one of your favorite characters. All right. Well, like I said, Inspector Gamache is my favorite detective, but it took me about 2 or 3 books before I really fell in love with that series. But so for me, that would be one possibility. Another one, again, would be The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, the Flavia de Luce series. I just loved it from the first page. Let me read you the opening paragraph. It says, and this is told from her perspective: "It was as black in the closet as old blood. They had shoved me in and locked the door. I breathed heavily through my nose, fighting desperately to remain calm. I tried counting to 10 on every intake of breath, and to 8 as I released each one slowly into the darkness. Luckily for me, they had pulled the gag so tightly into my open mouth that my nostrils were left unobstructed, and I was able to draw in one slow lungful after another of the stale, musty air." I love that. It just drops you right into the middle, and the story will then go back and explain how she got in that position. It's like a cozy mystery meets the Addams Family, sort of. Flavia's just got that dark sense of humor that she reminds me a lot of Wednesday from the Addams Family. Maybe not quite as demented, though. There are some other wonderful characters in that story, in that series, like Dogger, her dad, just beautifully broken people that this series explores, and I really recommend that one. Second one, I said I was going to cheat. A second one that I just absolutely fell in love with is a book called In the Bleak Midwinter, written by Julia Spencer Fleming. And this is the in the Claire Ferguson and Russ Van Alstyne series. And Russ Van Alstyne is a police detective. He meets the new Reverend of St. Albans. Her name is Claire Ferguson, and she gets caught up in the mysteries, and they solve mysteries together is the plot of the series. But I really loved this first book. It was so atmospheric. The mystery was really clever. The characters I just cared about deeply from the get-go. And of course, there's the romantic sparks between the two, and such a different of backgrounds. You have the police detective who's married, and he's beginning to have these feelings for another, for this reverend who's in town, this new priest of St. Albans. A lot of things keeping them apart. But hang in with that series. It is so good, and the journey those two embark on is so satisfying. Those are two of my favorite detectives that when I first met them, I just fell in love with them. Just good writing. In that book, here's one of my favorite quotes from that book. Claire is talking with one of the characters and talking about God, and she says, "I believe that God hears our prayers and cherishes them. I believe he answers by sending us his spirit, giving us strength and peace and insight. I don't think he responds by turning away bullets and curing cancer, though sometimes that does happen." Harleen frowned. "In other words, sometimes the answer is no?" "No, sometimes the answer is, this is life in all its variety. Make your way through it with grace, and never forget that I love you." And I just like that quote, that perspective on God that the Reverend has. Some of the conflict in that story is, she's a rather, liberal priest called to a very conservative church. And so there's conflict there. She has conflicts with her feelings for Russ. Um, Good mysteries all around, a great series, and I love that from the get go. So it was good, good mystery. Okay, prompt 4. We better get moving. Prompt number 4: Murder on the Orient Express. Agatha Christie wrote several Poirot books set on different types of transport. What is your favorite mystery set on a train, plane, or boat? For me, it might actually be Murder on the Orient Express. I didn't have the ending spoiled, so I went into that with blind eyes, and that was one of the first books of hers that I read. So I was pretty impressed with the solution, which I won't spoil. In case you haven't figured it out by now, I don't like spoilers, so I'm not going to spoil a good book for you. But yeah, the twist ending didn't see coming, and it was so good, so brilliant, and very claustrophobic. I love that setting where you are trapped and you know the killer is among us. You don't know who it is. So that, and then there were none. Another Christie book she wrote. Again, that very famous trapped room mystery kind of story. It's unoriginal, I know. I mean, everybody likes Murder on the Orient Express, I suppose, but that really is the pinnacle of that kind of mystery. ABC Murders features a killer working their way through an alphabet of victims. Recommend a mystery involving a serial killer. I think Alice picked this one, and I'm going to pick it as well. I would recommend the Dexter series. It begins with Darkly Dreaming Dexter. They are very graphic in its killing and in its language, if that's something that bothers you. I haven't watched the TV series at all. I've just read the books because I guess the TV series is a bit different than the books were. And I just wasn't my thing, I guess. I might actually get around to watching it one of these days. I wanted to finish the books first, and I believe that book series has come to an end now. At least that last book in the series seemed pretty final. I don't necessarily like the way that book ended, the last one in the series, but up throughout the series, I really like just about every moment of that. Dexter is a demented, crazy anti-hero that you can't help but root for, which I don't know what that says about me, but I guess the one redeeming grace is that the twist on that series is that he kills people who deserve it, people who the law hasn't been able to touch for one reason or another. So he sees to it that justice is done. Well, his demented version of justice. But if you like books about serial killers, that would be one to read. It's pretty good. And that series overall is pretty good. The book Dumb Witness, I have not read that one yet, but it says Bob the dog helps Poirot's investigation in this one. Can you recommend a book where an animal helps to solve the case? Yes, and I was so excited about this question because I knew exactly which book I'd recommend. It's one you might not have heard of. It's called A Dog About Town, and here's the cover. It's quite a great cover. It's by J.F. Englert, and I'll have the links posted below if you want to check these out. So this is a really interesting mystery. I can't remember where I came across it. I think it might have been on a BookBub deal on Kindle or something. It's a story about a dog named Randolph, and he's super intelligent. He reads books when his owner is out of the apartment, and he gets tangled up in a mystery with his owner, and he helps solve this case. And along the way, he has to try to communicate with his owner in a way that his owner would understand. It's told from his perspective, so it's written in first person. And the way he figures out how to communicate with his owner is pretty funny. There's only 3 books as far as I know. These were written about 10, 15 years ago, it looks like. And I really wish there were more. I've read them. They're really fun and just so creative about looking at the world through the eyes of a dog, even a super smart dog who, of course, uses his nose to also help him investigate. And he can tell when people are lying because they smell different and things like that. It's a great read. Pretty original, pretty creative, I thought. Question 7, Five Little Pigs, also adapted as a play, Go Back for Murder, another book I haven't read. And the prompt there is, Poirot solves several cases in his time that have been closed for years. Which is your favorite cold case Poirot? And if you don't have one, can you recommend any authors or detectives who have solved past cold cases? And I don't have any favorite cold cases of Poirot. I haven't read that one. But one series I'd recommend is called Ice by Lauren Carr. And that's literally what that series is about. And the first one in the series is called Ice. I think it's actually called the Cold Case series. And it's about this group of people who are all retired from different law enforcement backgrounds and things like that. They get together to solve cold cases as a hobby. And of course, that pulls them into the investigation of a local police officer. He gets tied up with this group, and that's basically what the books are about. Or he might actually be a retired police officer now that I think about it. It's been a while since I've read it. A good series. And again, that's Ice by Lauren Carr. Number 8, Dead Man's Folly is famously set at Agatha Christie's own holiday home, Greenway. What is your favorite murder mystery setting? Anywhere. I mean, I like the cozy mysteries that are set in like a small town or if it's a big city. It's just that cozy mystery atmosphere. I guess to be more specific, when they're set in an environment that I like, there's a bookstore or cold places. There's the Coffee House Mystery Series. I really enjoy that one. It's set in a coffee house. That's a great series. So, bonus points if you can think of a book to recommend me that takes place in a coffee house / bookstore and it's cold outside and it's a cozy mystery, that would be an ideal read for me. Prompt 9, do you have a favorite Poirot mystery? And if not, tell us a favorite mystery you've read recently. I don't know if I really have a favorite. I just enjoy the character maybe more than the books themselves. So I guess if I had to pick one, I would pick Murder on the Orient Express, just because it's so famous and it's so clever. But that's a soft pick for me. Any of the Poirot books I've read, I've enjoyed because Poirot was in them. I think probably my favorite Christie book is And Then There Were None. That one just had me guessing to the very end. That was really good. I love that one, but that's not a Poirot book, so I guess that wouldn't count. A favorite one I've read recently, nothing really. Well, I just recently read Glass Houses by Louise Penny, and that was really good. But yeah, pretty much any book about Inspector Gamache I'm going to enjoy. And that one, both the characters as well as the mystery. Some books you read, you like the character, if not the mystery. Others you maybe like the mystery, but not the character. That's one of the series where I like both. Both are just really good. And then number 10, how many Poirot books have you read? And I haven't read that many. I want to think maybe about 10. I haven't read any in a while, maybe a couple of years. But I'm going to pick back up with where I left off in the series, and I think I'm going to keep reading that. I want to thank Alice for this tag. It's made me find a new interest in Agatha Christie. If you love mysteries, I would love to see how you would answer these questions. So if there's a Christie that you really like, put it in the comments below and I'll add that to my TBR list. So in the meantime, I hope you are enjoying your day today and that you are well, and find a good book and get some reading done today. Take care.